So get subscribing. And I think there's some very big goal in there. It begins with an L and it ends with an N. And I'm not sure
Lone?
if it's going to be in Vegas, but I do want it. I'll settle for a series between Magic and Numudan for now. Best of 5 kicks off here on Basin. Of course, representing NA. Mr. Canada himself, it is, of course, the one and only Magic on the Marlians.
On the other side, it is Numudan. Kind of faded away the last couple of months. Remains to be seen what he can do over here, but he was definitely one of the most surprising players back in Elite Classic. A lot of pro players scrimmed against him. A lot of pro players called him, well, I guess I should clarify, not just pro players, but some of the elite players, the Beasties, the Marine Lords, they have said he's got insane potential. Let's see if he can show this here in Empires at War. Malians versus Mongols, though, KP, not a matchup that we commonly see in general, let alone on Basin.
No, and one that once upon a time was the ultimate counter to Malians, if you recall, right? It used to be that you went for this Spearman opening, you rushed across, you torched down their houses. That started to get nerfed, though, when they increased the house's HB. So you don't see that as often, and you will not see it in this mode. Yes, Numudan has 2 spears, but this is more about kind of idling out the gold and getting information. He won't be adding in additionals. And someone to highlight in this series, by the way, is I'm pretty sure this is Numudan's most rep Civ. Like, this is the Civ I've seen him play the most. So I love the fact that he comes into this series where he might be seen as a little bit of an underdog, and he opens up with a confidence pick.
Yeah, this is the round-robin group stage, though, so this is not a single elimination set. Both of these players will remain in, no matter what the outcome is of this set. But these 2 players, if I'm not mistaken, are the 2 highest-seeded players within their group. So a lot in this group will be determined by the individual performances of these 2 players, and this is definitely going to be one of the more significant sets when it comes to deciding the outcome of this group.
Absolutely. I mean, these 2 are very talented. They have the ability to go into those playoffs easy peasy. Now, thinking about the kind of permutations you usually see here, one thing that is important to consider from Numudan's perspective, he did go for the Deer Stone. So that would instantly make you think this is some sort of Mongol all-in, no greed intended. But Numudan is a different breed, man. Like, he's stopped at 2 Spearmen, and he's just being annoying burning things down. If he burns anything, he's going to get paid. Behind this, check his wood. He's saving up big boy bank. The Deer Stone play is all about enabling his economy to go for a multi-TC build.
Yeah, behind this, I need to clarify myself, though. I said Magic and Numudan will likely be fighting for this group, but there's a 3rd player I totally forgot it's in this group. This is actually the group of death, I feel. This group has Vortex and Flash in it as well. 2 players will advance to the playoffs. Vortex is probably the clear favorite to win this group. So this set might easily be the one that decides who's going to be the 2nd player moving into the playoffs from this group.
I mean, very, very humble, easy mistake, LidaKor. It's very easy to overlook Vortex. I mean, you know, he's only like top 5 in the game at the moment. He's only won like, you know, almost $100,000. Forgivable. Yeah, so this, you're right. This is going to be a brutal clash. I think Flash and Vortex actually matched up earlier today, and Flash even took 1 game off of Vortex. So, yeah, I agree. This is going to be one of your spicy groups, man. So, opening-wise, Magic is playing heavily into Warrior Scouts, despite the fact that Numudan is just face-slapping him with spears.
It's not just Warrior Scouts, though, but Donsos, and that's why I like this. You have something that is fairly competitive against those Spearmen. In fact, with the Javelins being thrown, you can even engage without taking any hits. And as much as you lose 2 Scouts over here, I think Magic is okay with this to a certain extent.
I don't know if you should be, though. Like, that costs you 90 food, and you still haven't scouted the 2nd TC. Because, like, the Mongols are annoying for this, right? Like, if you don't get vision, it's not like if you're glazing past the base and you're like, oh, he's on stone, he's building TCs. That's not how the Mongols work. It's all wood. So it's very deceitful if you don't get eyeballs on it directly. And if you look, Magic's paranoid about trade. He's actually checking the flanks, but I think this was a deviation play. Numudan did do the Deer Stone opening against Kalp, but that had corner trade. So he dropped triple marketplace and boomed his trade. I think this was a deviation based on the spawn. His original intent likely was trade, but because of where they're located, he had to choose a TC.
Yeah, I feel like against Malians, it's always risky to go for a trade. You can go for Warrior Scouts so easily, and that's probably the reason why Magic opted to go for Warrior Scouts in the beginning, making sure that even if there is trade, he can try to shut it down. He's up to 6 Warrior Scouts. Professional Scouts could still be a thing for him, but it seems more likely that he's just going to play aggressive here.
Yeah, I don't think he has got it so far, right? Like, I feel like I would have noticed a gap in his production if he went for the Pro Scouts. It's sometimes hard to tell because you've got so much economy, right? But honestly, with this many ranches already going down, it'd feel kind of, in my opinion, detrimental to even bother with Pro Scouts. Like, you want to move most of your eco away from smacking the food and into smacking the trees and the gold.
Yeah, second DC already in for Numudan, but this is a tricky position for him to be in with the Mongols. It takes a long time for that second DC to pay off. Whereas on the other side, you have Magic with the passive gold income from the pit mines. Cattle could already be mixed in here for Magic. I feel like his escalation of the economy is going to be so much more rapid compared to Numudan's.
I do think that Silver Tree double TC gets a bad rap for the Mongols because we don't see it often anymore. Like, yes, this is passive production, passive resources, right? It's very good. But if Numudan was to drop an outpost on his second DC, that's when it's like quite efficient. Like, that's my one concern right now is Numudan, you just saw it, he hasn't got an outpost out there, so he's not utilizing the Deer Stone to its fullest extent. If he was, he'd be drastically more efficient. Like, I think the difference there is like an extra, 100 resources per minute at least, which really would be like a difference maker here, right? You see he's trailing by, I think it's 300 resources total compared to the Malians. He does at least have a bigger army to show for it.
Yeah, he's been focusing a lot on army production, and this is something that Magic needs to be cautious about. It's also a very diverse army. He's got some Keshik in there, he's got some spears, he's got some archers. Whereas for Magic, it's fairly one-dimensional. He's got some warrior scouts, but most of the army is just Donzos.
Yeah. Those Donzos stop those Kekeks from getting in. Like, they're the only real answer right now to the Javelins. Like, trying to get spears on top of this, it just takes such a long time. So, Numudan. Also, you have to keep in mind, like, army value, this Keshik's very effective, but very expensive as well. And when you're not able to engage, you're kind of just losing, right? Because you just saw that damage, that's perma unless you can start fighting. Numudan, though. Oh, actually goes for the attack speed arrow here. He's going to force the engagement. Now, the Keshik's wrap around the sides, catching a few straggler Donzos. Just look at him just patiently waiting, right? He's trying to clear up the Donzos and then chase in for the Javs. We'll finally look to engage, but I think it's just been swarmed here. There's just no spears remaining. Good hold by Magic, got the concave, and Numudan, you can't help but feel that those Keshiks, they had to fight straight away. It's the only way he could make this work.
It was beautiful micro there by Magic, focused down the archers with the javelins, kept focus firing, spearmen or Donzos were engaging the spearmen on the other side, and as you said, Keshik didn't really have a massive impact on that battle. Now, Numudan has to fall back, and now he's facing 11 javelin throwers with an army that's just mostly archers and a couple of Keshiks that will be wiped out by the Donzos.
Yeah, I'm kind of deeply concerned by that. Like, when you go Keshiks like this, you're looking for a massive play. This was a submissive play, right? And when you miss your mark like that, like, you kind of start to go and look at the clock. You're like, I'm running out of time fast. You can already see it in the bank for Magic, like he's starting to save up. He's at a point where in the next minute, he can trade gold for food to get him up to that castle age, and he wouldn't be weak for doing it, right? Because Numudan's army is now losing an element to it, right? It's going less than spears, more to Keshiks. I do favor the Javelin comp here. But Numudan, like, unless he wants to go for a third TC, go for a tech up himself or some trade, he has no real choice but to fully aggress this.
Yeah, Castle Age will be on the way in a brief moment for Magic, but to be honest, it's not even a position of weakness for him right now. He can afford to go up to Castle Age and fight this at the same time.
Yeah, it's a really tough one because, and the reason why you don't see as many spearmen from Numudan, right, is because they lose to Donzos. Like, Donzos have 10 extra health and they have extra melee defense. So it's like, it's never about you win. It's kind of crazy how Malians, I always highlight they have this flexibility. They're able to cover a lot more bases than other armies would with just 2 unit types.
Yeah, this combo of Javelins and Donzos, we have seen how oppressive it could be basically throughout the Call to Arms event. And players did struggle to deal with them, especially when you also factor in the fact that the Malians have such a juggernaut economy. It's not just this composition itself, It's the fact that the Malians can afford to make a huge group of these units very quickly.
Yep, and now that tech up coming in, Magic is going to continue to get his troops upgraded quickly. Numudan, however, needs to do something. This is not a good position to find himself in. Don't be deceived. You didn't just hear a tech up. That's just a Khan being born. But he's being born to an empire he wishes he was no part of. Like, this is tough. Luckily for Numudan, Magic has not built any walls. Unfortunately for him, there's no premium target for these Keshiks.
It's always difficult when it comes to the Malians. You will find a couple of villagers to raid, but at the end of the day, 80% of Magic's eco is either pit mines or cattle. So even if you go for a raid, unless you start torching down these ranches, you won't be inflicting much of a damage.
You absolutely have to. So, like, this is a big, if Numudan, look how far our Magic is. He can actually burn down, like, 3-4 of these ranches and then kill the cattle. But he's not doing it. He's got... Okay,
he's going for the wills.
Opportunity. No, like, he's going for the vills, but they're gone, right? They're always going to be gone when this gets scoured. I feel like this was a golden opportunity that he just ignored. And now Magic gets to punish him because this TC cannot be protected.
Oh, man. Magic, it's a gutsy call to just go for an all-in assault when your cattle could all be burnt down in a moment. Core will die on the way. It could be stopped even, KP. It's likely going to finish, but it's so close to front line over here. Villagers could be picked off here.
Yeah, you can't stop this. The good news is the Khan is dead, right? So the damage buff is not going to be there, but it is a heal you now have to contest with. So Magic, he's still going to take the fight, because remember, this is Feudal versus Castle Age. It's still a good fight for him to take. In the meantime, what damage was really done by this Keshiks? They maybe killed one villager total. Meanwhile, on the other side, if you lose these archers, a lot more villagers are going to die in the Mongol Empire.
Oh man, all the archers getting cleaned up here, villagers getting caught in a crossfire. And you are missing those Keshik very desperately from this fight.
Man, these men-at-arms, they're trickling out into their death. The javelins just hit so hard at this stage. Also, level 2 ranged armor coming in. Looks like Magic thought this dive would last a little bit longer, but his front wave has been cleaned up. The Keshiks are coming around the back. This is the best fight Numudan can fight. And remember, if he does clean up this army, they'll be on even footings, and he will be 20 villagers up.
That is a great fight out there. He waited until most of the Donsos were picked off by the TCs, and now he's cleaning up a lot of the javelin throwers. Reinforcements arrive from Magic, though, and his army numbers are still looking better. In a moment where Numudan is completely out of gold, KP, he's got 8 gold in the bank.
This is tough, because all the gold, right? He's got 1 in reserve behind his base, but he's trying to take central resources before they get cut off. And they will get cut off fast because of this transition. The amount of stables now being built by Magic, Numudan isn't really prepped for this, right? He had mass archers, he's going men-at-arms. He's not getting crossbows ahead of time. This could be a killing blow because we've seen what Sofas do at this point in the game. 7 stables plus imported armor. If this number reaches 25 and I see no crossbows, it's pretty much done.
Yeah, Sofa switch could be devastating here. Obviously, Mongols not having access to walls means that you will always be exposed from the flanks, and that is something that Magic could exploit very easily here.
Yeah, and like going more Keshiks isn't bad, right? Like one-on-one, Keshiks beat Sofas, especially with Kurtai buff. But we're not going to be talking about a one-on-one, right? We're still talking about a 2-to-1 military deficit that's favoring Magic. And yes, the eco count is still 20 ahead for Numudan, but as we always like to highlight with the Malians, so much passive income, right? Free pit mine setup, the cattle ranches as well. This easily makes up for 20 villages.
Yeah, 2 armies actually pass each other here.
Yeah, but it forces the defense. Like this is not what you want to build Keshiks for, to just kind of sit there, right? You feel like you should be able to kill, but if we're being totally real about this game, Numudan had an opportunity to kill. He just completely ignored it about 2.5 minutes ago. It's going to be 3, probably 4 relics at least. I mean, the only thing that's missing from this level of greed is like, you know, you want a little bit of trade. I don't expect to see that in this game. I don't think he really needs it.
Yeah, he's getting all these relics in here. Villagers kind of left out here. Keshik has left. The group of Keshik have left to the north. They're going in for a raid, but Numudan is idled here a little as well on the gold mine.
Yeah, but check the vision. Check the vision. He doesn't have the outpost up. This could be big. He has got the scout with him as well. So Numudan, he dives in and distracts in his main base. It's going to be a lot of villagers going down, and there he is. The trap is sprung. Magic with the instant reaction, though. Like a god, he gets out of there with minimum casualties and continues to push back while sniping villagers on the other side of the map.
Very quick reaction out there, and he's got to force back at home to push this away. He sees the sofas now, but critically, he only lost one villager to that raid. That's as good as it gets for Magic.
Hey man, magic in the name, magic in the fingers. This guy, he's got the micro to match the brand. And while the Keshiks will get away, you'd hardly believe they even existed. Only a handful get out alive. And you can't help but feel Numudan, the map's starting to become constricted. And that's a very dangerous position to find yourself in when you've got this many villages.
Army number is just not looking good for Numudan right now. 36 against 92. And now we're talking about 16 sofas here for Magic as well. Something that there is basically no answer to. Crossbow's just not being queued up by Numudan as he's getting pushed away from the gold.
Yeah, he has got gold on the backside, but I feel like you need all the gold at this point, right? You still need to get more men-at-arms, you need to get crossbows as well. That's a big burden in your economy. And half your gold work is simply not working. And even if you have got that back gold, even if you put more people there, that's 4,000. That's all you've got to work with in this game.
Once again, he's trying a raid with the Kashyyyk, but it's so few now that even if they get in, they won't inflict massive casualties on Magic, but he will find this group of Kashyyyk. And once again, these counterattacks just don't seem to work for Numudan.
No, I think you just pill the sofas, chase, and then send the rest of the army back to pressure Numudan. Like, yeah, I said in one-on-one, Keshyiks win, but that's not a one-on-one. I think that's 7 sofas versus 5. So you'll win that. And this Kurosai is like do or die, right? Like if Numudan ever loses that, you'll see him call GG. It's the thing that kept him in the series against Kalp yesterday. And it really is the only kind of stake that the Mongol player has in this matchup.
Army numbers 2-1 right now for Magic. Blacksmith upgrades also looking a lot better. Basically full blacksmith for Magic from Costal Age. Lacking critical upgrades is Numudan.
Yeah, it needs siege. Magic, like this is someone that we often see Marlins can be a little bit cumbersome with. It's one of those civs that doesn't naturally transition siege. Like I think French is another example of this. It's like, you know you need it, but you don't feel comfortable doing it because you're scaling everything else instead. But if you just got like 2 Springles out, these mangoes don't do anything. And that's when you can take the main fight.
Man, these sofas hit hard. 18 villagers killed now by Magic. He's still down by 20.
He found the goal!
But look at this!
Oh, that retreat was way too late from Numudan, way too greedy. The crazy part is he was chasing that all the way. Several villagers going to go down, and now the assault on the front side. He sees he's not looking. Numudan. Mangonels, split formation is going to minimize the hit, and now we can dive in onto this. Men-at-arms spread out to try and hold. Defensive arrow is well used there. Numudan will force the retreat, but Magic not really taking that big of a hit on the exit.
Yeah, behind this, Numudan is actually stacking up resources for what could be Imperial, but he's still outnumbered 2-1, has a villager lead of just 11 now. Veterancy for the Musafati Warriors now coming in here for Magic.
Interesting play, but there's a good reason for that. Can we check the outpost count? I think like there's 2 or 3 max outposts across the map for Numudan. So a lot of optimal raid points that just aren't protected here. It's actually a really good read by Magic. Like a lot of players would sleep on this unless they felt like they needed to count the men-at-arms, but I think like right now, yeah, does it directly count men-at-arms? Sure. Like, do you need it when you got this many sofas? No. I mean, it's kind of getting ridiculous, right? Like, I think this summarizes the the Marlians beautifully right now. A fourth of his population is Donzos. Just shy of a fourth of his population are sofas. He just needs to get those javelin numbers up, and then we've fully summarized this civ.
That is an unreal number of sofas. 44 on the field. And Numudan's going very heavy into Spearmen, but when you're also facing a bunch of Donzos, bunch of Javelin Throwers even, that's not going to work. And first the Imperial will be Magic, Fortress of the Huntress coming in.
44 villagers are building this. That's over half of Magic's economy. He can afford it, though. Just stick it all on the credit card. The Marlian Kingdom never go bankrupt. With this upgrade, this is going to force a fight Numudan is just simply not ready for. Think things like precision training, which actually benefits the Donzo, giving an extra 6 damage. The Javelins will get an extra, I believe it's 3. Archer's an extra 2. So it's a fight that Numudan is being gifted right now. It's a fight he needs to take. And that
He's
right
distracted.
there,
He's losing Vills.
oh my god, it's done. That's done. The idle time there, the lack of reaction. Magic's now Imperial. You've basically lost any villager count lead you had. 40 now killed to the 2. If you cannot kill Magic in 2 minutes, you might as well just move to game 2.
Oh man, this is just looking so rough for Numudan at this point. He's confined into his base. He has been confined in his base for most of this game. And now he's facing so many sofas that the opportunity to raid is always there for Magic. The moment Numudan leaves his base, his eco is going to be shredded.
And this is where the game just gets like untenable. The Spring Walls, maybe you could find a solution, but the issue you now have is the Culverin. The Culverin's going to kill you because the Mangonels are the one thing that have kept Numudan alive. It's the only reason Magic won't commit underneath the Kurultai. If those are gone, you're in dire tides. Mangonel shot, oh god, it basically just clipped the edge of the formation. There's the worst position for it to hit there. He is at least teching up, so good catch up from Numudan here. He's still not popped.
Villagers once again getting pushed away from the gold mine, though. Basically no gold access given anymore for Numudan.
Well, that's got 2k in reserve, though, so he can look to get his upgrades. But beautiful micro there. Magic dodging like a Canadian Neo here, and that is enough to scare him away. Agent Smith, Agent Numudan doesn't want any of this. Game 1 will belong to Magic.
Clean game here by Magic, just leveraging the Malian economical powerhouse. Also utilizing the fact that Numudan wasn't really contesting the map. Magic got away with all the relic control, all the sacred site control. Really, we saw 2 moments where Numudan had an opportunity to do eco damage. Only the first of those 2 were actually a real opportunity where you had no defense back at home for Magic. Numudan opted to go for a gold miners, found no one, didn't burn down any of those Cal wrenches. So really, that only opportunity that he realistically had to do eco damage, it didn't work out.